Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Charity Wanyonyi and I'm a certified nutritionist, a mental health advocate, a digital content strategist, and I just dabble in a lot. And today I'm wearing my nutrition hat. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And in my previous video, I had told you guys I'm going to be focusing on the mental health side of the things that I share on this YouTube channel. And today we're going to talk about the mental health side of working in helping profession. Nutrition is a service provision profession where sometimes you might have to dig deep into emotional well in order to help your clients. So please stay tuned, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope it will be able to help you just conserve and preserve your emotional wealth and not give too much, and also look at your mental health. So welcome. So one thing I feel like we don't talk about enough is in helping professions such as nutrition is the emotional weight that comes with constantly caring for others, especially when you're in the hospital. I remember in the hospital, it really used to take a toll on my mental health and my emotional health because I'm an empath, so I feel and give a lot. So you can be in the counseling industry, you can be a nurse, you can be a doctor. I feel like just people working to help other people, and most of your clients, they come in carrying a lot of emotional stress, pain, confusion, vulnerability, because in the hospital that's where you'll see the most vulnerable people. And over time, sometimes supporting these people emotionally or lending them your emotional energy becomes part of your job. And the emotional impact of that support is rarely talked about. That is the emotional exhaustion while still trying to function outwardly, and I know most of you do that. So that constant caregiving, giving yourself too much, can quietly affect your mental well-being. So we're going to look at what emotional labor actually means. So there's a concept that called emotional labor. I know most of you do, but I'll just leave the definition on the screen, and also you can see on your screen. This is the process of regulating your emotions while supporting others professionally. So if you're not able to read, I'll still leave it in on your screen. And this can sometimes make you suppress your personal stress to care for your client effectively. So for example, you may be exhausted personally, but you still need to show up calmly for your clients so that they don't see like something is wrong. So you might be overwhelmed but still need to appear emotionally available. So this creates a gap between internal feelings and external presentation. And also this repeated emotional regulation can become mentally draining over time, because you have to wear this face where you have to show up as a strong person. And guys, emotional labor is work, even if it's invisible. That's why it's not really talked about, and it can really drain you if you don't look at it, or to keep on suppressing it. So we're going to look at the compassion fatigue versus burnout. So people often use burnout and compassion fatigue interchangeably, but they're slightly different. So burnout comes from chronic stress and overload or prolonged overwhelm, and compassion fatigue is emotionally exhaustion linked to us specifically to caring for others. Like your compassion, other nutritionists, you become so compassionate, but you just feel tired because you're always carrying others' burdens that sometimes guys, you can feel a lot. I remember when I was still working in the hospital, I used to feel a lot until sometimes I used to cry. And in order for me to do my job very well, I started numbing or becoming detached. You're like, this is just another client. I need to just detach, because if you'll take in a lot. Yes. So sometimes even it can reduce your empathy Yeah, so you find that it becomes harder to access when emotional reserves are depleted, because you're always caregiving and caregiving, and recognizing the difference, help professionals seek appropriate support. So it's human response to prolonged emotional output. Like, this is my work, I have to show up for my client. So you end up um, having compassion fatigue rather than a burnout. So you need to know the difference. So we're going to look at the pressure to have it together, and this is what I was talking about in the previous slides. There's also pressure in helping profession to always appear emotionally stable. Like, you have to be stable, and I know most doctors will resonate with this, as your patient may just die, but you have to show up for the next patient and just be like stable and show them, like, so many people feel pressure to avoid vulnerability or emotional struggle. So you can't show it publicly, you have to hide, you have to be by yourself in order to process what you've just gone through. So professional identity can become tied to always being the strong one. Yeah, this one is the strong one. And also sometimes your colleagues can even associate you with that, and because of that, many professionals struggles very privately, like I said, not because they are weak, but because they feel they cannot publicly acknowledge the difference. So this discourages openness, that sometimes lead to mental health challenges. I think, was it last year, but one guy, those arise case in many medical officer interns taking their own life due to work related pressure. So you can see where it ties down to having it all figured out, going for a 48-hour shift. So this makes you emotionally suppressed. It makes you to suppress your emotions, and then it increases the internal strain that can sometimes really affect your mental health challenges. So high functioning does not mean mentally well, and I need you guys to understand this. Many professionals continue performing despite emotional exhaustion, like I've said. Your productivity can mask chronic stress and emotional depletion. I don't know if you've seen some people just being zombies. Yeah, you meet deadline, show up to work, deliver presentation, support others, and still be mentally exhausted. So you're functioning externally, but internally you're really fighting and you're tired. So high functioning burnout often goes unnoticed for a long period of time, because we are trained to mask it. So emotional distress can exist even when responsibility are still being met. Like I said, you show up to work, you do your job so well, and people just think, okay, this one is okay, this one has energy, they're doing all they are, so they keep on adding more jobs to you, and you can really put a strain. That's why it's very, very important. And I love that these days mental health is starting to take a center stage when it comes to most of this organization. So we're going to look at the mental load of constantly caregiving. So when your work involves a lot of caregiving, you carry mental and emotional load subconsciously. So you have to remember your client's concern, you think about the outcome, you absorb emotional energy. The distress sometimes they can come with very sad stories, and you have to sit there and listen to those sad stories without breaking down. And even if you don't realize it consciously, your nervous system still process that exposure. Like, after a long day work, you still think about those stories and think, how you can I help this girl, she's trapped in this unwanted marriage, giving birth continuously, and they're in the adolescent, their body needs to recover. So you end up looking at their nutrition status and what can I do to help this person. Sometimes some things are beyond you, which may lead to the internal strain I was talking about. So emotional recovery is very, very necessary after prolonged caregiving. So because without recovery, mental fatigue accumulates quietly. Like I said, you never see it coming. It just hits you sometimes, and then you end up being depressed. That's why you find most people in the healthcare professionals, and I'm not ashamed to say, are very, very depressed. To look at boundaries as a mental health strategy. If you've been following me for a while, you're among my first subscribers, you know how I really protect boundaries, and boundaries protects your emotional energy and it prevents overload, And I feel like for me, people often misunderstood what boundaries are, and people associate boundaries with distance or being selfish. No, for me, mental health strategies, boundaries, my boundaries are way up, and I really, really work on protecting those boundaries because they protect my mental capacity and my emotional capacity. Because if that goes out, I'm really just, I can't function. So, those boundaries helping professionals can become overextended and eventually emotionally depleted, and sometimes can lead to resentment. You can start just resenting your job, resenting people, and sometimes we have a tendency of saying yes to everything. This is your free time, you're saying yes. I know sometimes I find myself in this loop. I'm really tired, I do not want to do something, but when you look around you, you're like, let me just say yes to say yes. But for me, I only say yes when I know there's a time for me to recover, and I take my recovery time very, very seriously. So healthy boundaries support sustainable service delivery, and that I'm not ashamed to say. I will leave it on the screen. Healthy boundaries support sustainable service. So boundaries are not selfish. For me, they are very, very protective. So if you have boundaries in place, make sure you don't waver on those boundaries. Don't be saying yes if you do not want to say yes. Don't do something that you do not want to do, and take rest very, very seriously. I'm aiming at demystifying the concept of rest, especially this millennial people who were born in the millennial era. I feel like when we rest, we tend to feel guilty about it, but we'll talk about rest some other time. Yeah, I'm going to look at the role of rest in sustainable practice. So rest is not simply absence of work, it's recovery. Rest supports emotional regulation, patience, empathy, mental clarity. So rest should be proactive, not reactive after burnout. Sometimes I I just confuse the two. Sometimes I only take a rest when I feel like I'm burnt out, but I'm trying to also change my mindset to know that rest should be proactive. Like there's just 1 or 2 days in a week I need to rest. I don't have to be constantly working, or I don't have to rest after a burnout. I'm sorry, guys. I know we talked about this in the last episode. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you liked, please go watch, leave a share, and also leave a comment in the section. In this episode, do you take rest proactively or reactively after burnout? I really, really need to know. And then sustainable professionals build recovery into their routines. And if you noticed, these wealthy people, these CEOs, if you follow their routine, there's always a day where they just rest. They are not online, they are not like constantly around people. They've taken time to read, like they recoup in their private setups. You don't even know where they are. They just disappear and come back. It's part of their routine. They just 1 day or 2 days or a month or a week, they just take a break and they go and rest. But sisi wengine, we just continue working until we're burnt out. So rest strengthens long-term professional capacity. So we're going to look at identity beyond productivity. And I feel like this is a big one, guys. I feel like some of us have still not grasped that concept. Those are two things. Many helping professionals unconsciously tie their worth to their usefulness and their output. So constant productivity can become part of their professional identity. So this means slowing down may trigger guilt or feelings of inadequacy. Like I said, some of us need to demystify the concept of rest. Sometimes to be needed is to be productive, and this leads you to helping even more. And when you don't, you feel like you're inadequate. That hits close to home. So personal value should not depend entirely on your performance. Sustainable well-being requires identity beyond work. And your value cannot depend entirely on what you provide or produce for others, your output. I feel like I need people to come and discuss identity beyond productivity. I'll record an episode where we'll talk about this on its own so that we can be able to understand. I'm going to look at signs your mental health need attention. They are subtle, guys. They're very, very subtle. That's why this is not something people talk about. There's persistent emotional exhaustion and numbness, irritability. I know that so well. Detachment or reduced empathy. Sometimes even it's not the other person's fault. For me, I've become more self-aware to know when it's me, and I will tell you, no, it's not you, it's just me. Difficulty resting without feeling guilty. That is also something that I'm trying to really work on. Increased mental fatigue despite adequate sleep, feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities that once felt manageable, especially to me. Some things, like I said, you look at the minimum viable actions, and I feel like that has really been a tool that has been working for me. We're going to look at sustainable ways to support yourself, and sustainability of sustainable helping requires self-support. This may include creating boundaries that include intentional recovery time. In that routine of yours, make sure you have time to rest. Seek peer support and professional community. There are many of them. There are groups you can join, and you meet your peers. You can just talk about these issues that affect people in the helping professionals. Separating professional roles from personal identity, which is very, very important. Practice emotional awareness without judgment, and normalizing asking for support when you need it. And I feel like this is what most of us are really going through. You have a lot going on, but you feel like you can't ask for help, or when you feel like asking for help is weakness, which is not. And that's why I love that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, where we can just talk about these things outwardly and normalize seeking help when you feel like you need it. So learn how to care for yourself as you care for other people. So as we finish this episode, I want to leave you with this. Caring for others should not require abandoning yourself. There's a thin line. You can abandon yourself. Sustainable professionals protect both compassion and well-being. And just know mental health matters even for those who help others. I feel like that is something I should have highlighted.